I want to reteach you VERCEL today, and that's the only thing I want us to focus on now that you have a chance to use it. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick little drawing of the kind of pieces that you need to know, the more advanced web design pieces that you need to know. Okay, so if you're on Neil.fun right now, if you are drawing a perfect circle, perhaps maybe do that a little bit later. Okay. So we have our HTML and we have our CSS that we did, generally speaking, towards the beginning of the class, right? Pretend that's a B. It's a two. I know, that's why you're pretending. Okay, so these are our two main languages that we're used to towards the beginning, okay? Then we started introducing these two boxes of GitHub, which worked, and then VERCEL, which did not, okay? So we have originally GitHub working fine, but VERCEL was busted, right? These two things are buckets. I'm going to do a correct B this time. Buckets for our code that makes a website happen, okay? So buckets equals websites. What we're going to do more in the future with some other languages is find new ways to add to these existing buckets. Oops, let me make that a little bit more like what I want it. There we go. So let's call these new languages in red. I spelled languages wrong. It's a good thing I don't teach like spelling. Hold on, help me out here. Languages. Okay, and this is gonna be our stuff like React. This is gonna be our stuff like Tailwind. Okay, blah, blah, blah. All the stuff that's going to come towards the... Oh my god, we've been frozen. I'm sorry. I didn't know we were frozen, y'all. My bad. Anyways, now that VERCEL is unblocked, we have the ability to start taking our beginning projects, like the most recent one we completed was project number 2. A couple people in 5th period were asking when our next big project is going to be. I'm planning for it to be towards the end of next week or right after spring break, depending on the stuff that gets in, or what needs to get finished up. But we'll have another project coming up soon. I know we haven't had an assignment to do in a while because we've had a lot of pieces to coordinate. We're going to focus, let me go back to green here, on our VERCEL box today because it is now unblocked for y'all as students. Okay, so if we go to the modules, there is a video recording of all of these steps from when I showed you earlier in case you want to rewatch that and combine it with this version, okay? It might actually, let me see, it might be hidden because sometimes these things get a little funky. Let's put this back in there. Was it last week or was it before last week? I think it was last week. Let's find out. Yes, it was last. Was it this one? This was industry panels. No, the domains were broken. Okay, so if you look at 323 through 327, it was last week, you're going to see all of the GitHub steps, all of the VERCEL steps that I'm about to re-show you. But we're going to skip the GitHub ones for today because the GitHub part you had practice with, okay? What I want us to do and what I'm going to be checking for is to log into VERCEL and get it connected to your GitHub account. So you might need your phone for a, let me log out here. You might need your phone. I don't want to delete my account. God, I forgot how to log out again. They hide these buttons sometimes. Free me. Hang on. There we go. Goodness. Okay. So what we're going to want to do from here, let me put this on your Canvas page. I thought it was already on there. My bad. Let's first check and make sure that it's actually still unblocked. Nope, not that one. Okay. So if we go back to Thursday, you should now have a little VERCEL link right there. I'm going to look at your screen share and see if you're able to actually get onto VERCEL. I see Justin is looking at a sign up VERCEL. I see Sophie is looking at a sign up VERCEL. I can see Anisha's on there, Erica's on there, Jedric's on there, Jigtrell's on there. Okay, cool. So it definitely looks like it's been unblocked, which is good. So when you go to the VERCEL login page, we want share still out. Let me close out of here. I'm going to continue with my GitHub because that one's already connected for me. I'm just going to continue. The really important part of signing up with GitHub is it's going to allow us to very, very quickly do those deploys that I showed you in last week's video, okay? You're gonna see a lot more on my screen because I've done this a lot more than you have. But again, when we get into these more complicated pages, look exactly where I tell you. And for now, I want you to click on the Add New button up in the top right-hand corner. And then the first option underneath that is Project, okay? So you go to Add New Project, and then we'll get into this dashboard a little bit later, okay? When you get to the page that says, let's build something new, in the leftish corner right here, you're gonna see these import Git repositories. Now again, I have a lot more than you do because I have a lot more repos on my page than y'all. But you should have the demo that we did on the 25th, right? It says 325p4 practice, like we did, with a white import button. You guys seeing the white import button as you're following along with me? The white, so you might need to connect to your GitHub and your VERCEL. Like, it might ask you to install it if you're not seeing these. That is fine. That's safe. That is an okay thing for GitHub to be doing, okay? Once your screen looks like mine, which is what I'm going to check for before the end of the day, so if it doesn't look like it immediately, don't panic. I will get to you. When it looks like mine, all you have to do is click the import button on the specific page you're trying to deploy. This is why I say when you make a repository, you want it to relate to the purpose of the page so that when you get here, you know what you're looking for, okay? I'm gonna deploy my period 4 practice repository because that's the one we looked at last week, all right? So I'm gonna click import and it's gonna take me to the new project screen. You're your own VERCEL team, so you don't have to worry about that. This first box right up here in the top right is gonna become your domain name, okay? It's gonna add .vercel.app at the end of it, but this is where you get to customize what the URL looks like on your search bar, okay? So this is why I was asking in those exit tasks, what is your ideal domain name? What is your ideal stuff like that? Think about it like a username. This is where you get the chance to give it that in the project name, okay? So for example, I'm gonna call this like space username. You can also replace the spaces with hyphens. So if I delete the space and replace it with a hyphen, so you want to think of your project name like a username, as you can see right here, okay? Leave the application preset as other and leave the root directory as this /. Let me actually double check that real quick. Hold on.
How do we get here?
I'm gonna help you. I'm just showing you and then I'll help you. Okay. I'm going to actually, let me see this real quick. Okay. So one thing last little check before you hit the deploy button in the bottom right, you might want to change the root directory from this // to be the name of your root folder that you configured for project number 2. Okay, so when I click on the edit button, you're gonna see there's 2 options. There's the name of the repository, 325, and then there's the name of the folder in the repository, which is the one that we did in class, the 2026 March 9th project number 2. I'm gonna pick the second one because I know for sure that this is where my website lives. Sometimes the computer gets a little confused by the repository names. If you wanna click edit and make sure that your actual folder name is selected, that will be a little bit more accurate. Again, this is what I'm gonna be checking on before you go because your exit task is posting your VERCEL deploy, okay? Once you've done those 2 things, adding a project name and then maybe changing the root directory to match what you had in VS Code, you click on the deploy button and it's gonna think for a second, maybe. Project names can be 100 characters and must be lowercase. They include letters. They cannot contain spaces. Okay, so my bad. I am gonna have to definitely hyphen these out. Thinking about it like a username, okay? So now when I click deploy, It's going to think for a second. It's going to do what's needed to be done because that GitHub repository is correctly configured and because our VERCEL is connected to our GitHub. When it says congratulations, you've deployed a new project to your name, that means you have your site up on the internet, okay? And to get to the site, you scroll down a little bit and click this continue to dashboard button. What you'll need for the exit task, because we're not going to worry about all these buttons right now, we're going to look for this word domains right here. The domain says like a username .vercel.app because it's automatically going to add that .vercel.app to the end because that's how we're hosting our pages, okay? When I click on that, it's going to take me to, in my search bar, like-a-username.vercel.app. This is what you'll need for your exit task. And this is what I'll make sure before you leave today, you know how to do these steps. I just have to check in with you individually, but I wanted to show you all of them before we started, okay? So to complete your exit task, you're gonna take this domain, copy it, and then all you need to do on P4 is post the link to your VERCEL deploy, like this. And I know it will work because when I go to visit those sites, if I click open link, it should take me to your VERCEL website instead of a 404. Okay? So now I'm going to help you individually get to this point. If you want to see what the example looks like, I can see Violet's and Erica's are posted. I will check those a little bit later. But this is the VERCEL deploy steps. And it's one of those things, again, that until you do it, like riding a bike, it won't stick until you do it. Okay, so let's make sure everybody has a chance to try it today. Ask me questions as needed. And then this is what I need us to do today, now that VERCEL's unblocked. Okay, let me end this real quick.